The land explored by our ancestors extends from the Altai to the White Sea. The scientific expedition, Trails of Nomads, continues to unveil the path of our forefathers. A group of scientists led by pilgrim of the 21st century, Saparis Kakov, has already visited more than 50 countries. Scientists reveal the exciting secrets of the past. Watch an amazing story of a great journey in the Trails of Nomads program. The streets of Cairo are always full of cars and people. It seems that nothing and no one can stop the city bustle. However, everything changes when people hear the sound of azan, a call of believers to prayer. It interrupts the usual rhythm of life, and the whole city at this moment seems to sing in unison. This feature of the Egyptian capital was laid by the Kipchak sultans. The participants of the scientific expedition Trails of Nomads were convinced of this.
Bizim babalarımız şimdi her yerde ülke iz kaldırdı.
No matter where our ancestors visited, they made an invaluable contribution to the development of the region. This can be judged by the architectural structures that they built. As one of the striking examples, look at Egypt and Cairo. Numerous mosques, bridges, dams, and other monuments have been serving the population for 8 centuries.
Solar қазір 750-800 жыл мынау сондағы тұрып жатқан халықтарға нам болып отыр.
Baibars ruled Egypt for almost 17 years. This period is popularly called the Golden Age. The Sultan had 3 sons and 4 daughters. The heirs to the throne were Berkehan, Solomon, and Khizr. Berkehan first came to power. From childhood, Baibars taught him the basics of public administration. At 4 years old, Berkehan was made Khitan, the Muslim rite of circumcision, and then he was declared heir to the throne. A solemn procession took place on the streets of Cairo that day, and the Egyptian army swore allegiance to Berkehan. In 1277, Az-Zahir Baibars was killed at home in Damascus with poison sprinkled in kumis. While still alive, he saw Berkehan as heir. However, Berkehan could not find a common language with the emirs and left the throne. The last days of his life passed in the fortress of Al-Karak. After the death of Berkehan, the emirs elected the second son of Baibars, 7-year-old Solomon, as the ruler. Late due to his young age, he was also removed from the throne and sent to Constantinople, where he also died sometime later. There is almost no information about the fate of the third son, Khizr. In 1279, the reign of the Baibars dynasty in Egypt ended. Another talented Kipchak Sultan Qalawun ascended the throne. He was a matchmaker of Baibars. Berke's wife was the daughter of Qalawun. These family relationships, of course, influenced the approach of Qalawun to the throne. After all, at that time, there were many emirs who longed for power. Qalawun was one of the active participants in the battles against the Crusaders and the Mongol conquerors. During his reign, Egypt's internal relations were rapidly developing. Western Europe established close diplomatic, trade, and economic relations with the Golden Horde. In addition, many innovations were introduced within the state, particularly in education, science, medicine, and culture. The complex of Sultan Qalawun is a vivid example and evidence.
Осы көшенің бойында Sultan Qalawun'un kompleksi var. Bunda onun saldırgan
The complex of Sultan Qalawun is located along this street. There are a hospital, mosque, and mausoleum built by his order. Nearby are a mosque and a mausoleum erected by his son Muhammad. There is also a mosque built by another son, Halal.
Onun ар жағында Халилдің ол да сол Sultan Qalawun'un балалары жатады. Соның мешіті бар.
The construction of the Sultan Qalawun complex brought Egyptian architectural art to a new level. With its construction, architectural ensembles were developed. Previously, the mausoleums, mosques, and madrasas were built together. From that period, Maristana Medical Center has been added to this complex. Such a large-scale architectural project was implemented in just 13 months, from 1284 to 1285. For Cairo, with narrow streets and small houses, this is a grandiose complex. It can even be called a city in a city. The yard of one mosque occupies a huge space. The decorations of the mosque also amaze with their beauty. Surahs from the Quran were painted on the walls. Patterns and ornament have been embossed on marble. All this is a medieval madrasa. Education in it was conducted in 4 madhabs, that is, in 4 schools. A special facility of the complex of Sultan Qalawun is a medical center. It had a complex structure and a large territory with a fountain, a pool, and many special rooms for treating patients. Unfortunately, all this hasn't preserved. Mart San is not only a place for treating people, medical specialists underwent trainings there. Each of the facilities of the complex is unique. In 13th century, such architecture was a great achievement. The author of a great-scale construction, Sultan Qalawun, is buried in the mausoleum located in its northern part. The mihrab in the mosque was considered the largest in Egypt. A slave at the price of 1,000 dirhams did a great service to the country not only during his lifetime but also after his death. The complex of Sultan Qalawun is listed in the list of the main monuments of Egypt. Millions of tourists visit it annually.
Sultan Qalawun, один из важных султанов, который
Qalawun is an outstanding Kipchak sultan who ruled Egypt after the Baibars dynasty. He is a representative of the Kipchaks who were attributed to the Bahri dynasty. During his rule in Cairo, many beautiful buildings and structures were built.
примерно 200 лет.
Al-Ashraf Khalil Mosque is located near the complex of Sultan Qalawun. Khalil is the son and follower of Qalawun. He began to rule Egypt in 1290 and implemented all his father's plans, which the latter did not have time to implement in 11 years of the rule in his country. Sultan Qalawun managed to liberate the city of Tripoli as well as several other fortresses subject to the Crusaders. Sultan Khalil was able to finally expel the enemy from the territory of the Middle East. For this feat, the people called him the commander hero. Sultan Khalil ruled the country for only 3 years and 2 months.
көбісі айтатын көрінеді. Халилге кіргенде бұдан аман шығамыз ба, шықпаймыз ба деп кіреді екен. Ал енді шыққан уақытында осы дүниеге келдік деп шығады екен.
After Sultan Qalawun, his son Al-Ashraf Khalil came to power. What feat did he accomplish? During his reign, the Crusaders were completely expelled from the Middle East.
Жерорта теңізі жағасында тұрған сол арқылы олар сол маңдағы жердің бәрін түгел өздеріне қаратып билеп тұрды. Сол арқылы Европамен қарым-қатынас болып тұрды, Кипр аралы арқылы.
Another important historical monument located next to the Qalawun complex, the madrasa and the mausoleum of Al-Nasir Muhammad ibn Qalawun. This is the son of the Sultan of Qalawun after Khalil. He came to power in 1293 after his brother was treacherously murdered. At that time, Al-Nasir Muhammad was about 10 years old. However, by the decision of the emirs, he was elected sultan, so the young heir ruled the country for about a year with the help of the emir of Kedbuga, who subsequently took power into his own hands. 2 years later, he was also removed from the throne by a Mamluk emir named Lashin, who ruled Egypt until 1299. At this time, Al-Nasir Muhammad turned 14 years old and the Kipchak emirs elected him as a sultan, so he ruled in Egypt until 1341 when he died.
Nasir Muhammad очень важный. Дело в том, что он правил Египтом.
Al-Nasir Muhammad ibn Qalawun ruled Egypt several times. He was a sultan at 9, at 14 and at 24. During the reign, he managed to build many facilities in the country. This time was also called the Golden Age. This ruler was beloved by the people. Often, the sultan exempted the subjects from paying taxes. In addition, he was a very fair ruler.
Любили его очень сильно. Он был справедливым.
The construction of the Al-Nasir Muhammad ibn Qalawun complex began in 1295. Then the country was ruled by Kedbuga. First, the foundation of the madrasa was flooded. In 1299, when Al-Nasir Muhammad reascended the throne, a mausoleum was built near the madrasa, and in 1303 the construction of the complex was completed. However, the sultan himself was not buried in the mausoleum. Fearing the emirs, he bequeathed to secretly bury himself in the mausoleum of Father Qalawun, and in his erected mausoleum his mother Sugbai and son Anuk were buried.
No, on очень знаменитый султан, и он делал очень много.
Al-Nasir Muhammad ibn Qalawun is one of the most famous among the Kipchak sultans. During his reign, the country witnessed rapid development of construction and the well-being of the people improved. He also waged wars with the Crusaders. It is hard to imagine what the situation of Egypt would be if there were no Kipchak sultans. The most powerful conquerors of that time, the Crusaders and the Mongols, attacked the country one by one. Kipchak Mamluks managed to fight back and save Egypt.
Это люди в основном воины.
After visiting the mausoleum and madrasa of Sultan Al-Nasir Muhammad, the scientific expedition team also visited his mosque. It is located in the fortress of Salah ad-Din Ayyub, who founded the Ayyubi dynasty. The Muslim temple was built between 1318 and 1335. The mosque was erected according to the sketches of the temples in Central Asia. According to historical documents, Al-Nasir Muhammad was struck by the beauty of Deshti Kipchak mosques, where he went to marry his wife. Later, he built the temple on the same project in his country.
Тогда он строил такую мечеть.
Muhammad ibn Qalawun built a beautiful mosque in the palace of Salah ad-Din. This palace was erected in 1176. Later, it became the residence of all Egyptian rulers. Muhammad ibn Qalawun most likely also lived in the Cairo fortress. During 44 years of his reign, urban civilization reached its peak. The number of Cairo residents exceeded 1 million people. The Alexandria Canal was dug. About 100,000 inhabitants of the city were involved in the work. As a result, more than 42,000 hectares of virgin lands have been developed. Along the new waterway, people built new settlements and cities. A reservoir appeared near the city of Giza, and a canal was stretched to Syracuse. Over 40 new villages were created along the channel. Weaving began developing in the cities of Cairo, Tunis, and Damietta. Silk and linen fabrics of Egypt were very popular in Europe and were purchased in large volumes until 1341, that is, until the death of Muhammad ibn Qalawun. Egypt was a stable and prosperous state.
Сол кезінде бұл енді арабтарға алтын дәуір сияқты.
What did Sultan Muhammad ibn Qalawun perform during the reign of Egypt?
Мынау егіннің бағасын ол түсірді, жұрттың жағдайы жақсара бастады.
In 1309, Al-Nasir Muhammad was preparing to make a pilgrimage to Mecca, but he failed to realize his plan. He grew up with his guardians, ostensibly to perform the Hajj, but instead locked himself in Al-Karak fortress and abdicated. At this time, the throne was taken by Baibars al-Jahangir. In some historical documents, he is called Jahangir, which means master of the world. Once he was under the auspices of Sultan Qalawun and thanks to his personal qualities took the throne. Baibars al-Jahangir also left a great legacy to the descendants. Among the buildings and structures built by him, this architectural complex occupies a special place.
Мысырдағы қыпшақтардың мемлекетінде екі сұлтан болған. Baibars деген есіммен.
In Egypt, in the state of the Kipchaks, there were two sultans of Baibars. One of them is Al-Jazir Baibars. The second is Baibars al-Jahangir. Behind me is a tower and a dome. This is a madrasa. We just visited it. The school is still working.
Біз жаңа соның ішінде көрдік. Ол қазір медресе болып істеп тұр.
Baibars al-Jahangir, after the death of Qalawun, patronized his sons, especially Al-Nasir Muhammad. In 1299, Yelk Khan of Iran Mahmud Ghazan attacked Syria and conquered Damascus and Jerusalem. Then the army led by Baibars al-Jahangir rebuffed the Mongols and drove them out of Syrian land. However, in 1309, when Baibars became a sultan, the people of Syria did not obey him. As a result, he was forced to leave power. After this, Al-Nasir Muhammad returned to the throne and ruled the state for 32 years. The Egyptian people suffered the death of Al-Nasir Muhammad. The golden age was over. His sons Abu Bakr, Kushik, Ahmad, Ismail, Shaban, and Kaji took turns replacing each other and became sultans. 6 sons ruled the country for 6 years. They were all very young. Emirs, taking advantage of the situation, skillfully manipulated them. Al-Nasir Muhammad also had older sons who were considered heirs, but unfortunately they died during the life of the sultan. One of them is Anuk, who was buried in the mausoleum of Al-Nasir Muhammad. The death of his son seriously affected the health of the sultan. 2 days before his death, Al-Nasir Muhammad transferred power to his son Abu Bakr. Under him and his other brothers, the situation in the country worsened. There was no stability, the quality of citizens' life was declining. In addition, in 1347, a plague spread in the country. In 2 years, 1/3 of Egyptians were infected with the disease. In such a difficult time for the country, the throne was taken by Sultan Hassan. He also was the son of Al-Nasr Muhammad.
Sultan Hassan 1348 жылдан 1361 жылға шейін сұлтан атағында болды. Бірақ өзі өкінішке орай мынау мавзолейге
He ruled from 1348 to 1361. He was not buried in the mausoleum because during this period there was a struggle for power and litigation between the Kipchaks. In this troubled time, the Sultan died at the hands of rivals. It was never destined for him to be buried in a mausoleum built for himself, but now his children are resting there.
Бұл да сол қаза болды басқа адамдардың қолынан. Сондықтан өзі деп арнап салдырған мавзолейіне кіре алмайды, бірақ оның балалары қазір жатыр.
The reign of Sultan Hassan is divided into two stages, the first from 1348 to 1351. He first ruled the country when he was 11 years old. Therefore, he was destined for the fate of the brothers who ruled before him. He was forced to fulfill the will of the emirs surrounding him. He was subsequently locked up in jail. At that time, he came up with the idea of building a mosque and madrasa. The Islamic temple is located opposite the Cairo fortress. At this place, Sultan Hassan abdicated before getting into prison. After his release in 1354, the second stage of his reign begins, which lasted until 1361. At this time, he built a mosque and madrasa.
А он там в тюрьме обещал Аллаху, если он выходит.
Sultan Hassan, being in prison, swore by the name of Allah that if he came out alive and healthy, he would build the largest and most beautiful mosque in Egypt. He kept his word. After being released, he spent all the money on the construction of a Muslim temple.
Он начал в самом Каире строить красивую мечеть.
Madrasa, the mosque erected by Sultan Hassan, is considered the first university in Egypt. The first hostel was constructed nearby. Students studied in 4 madhabs and lived here. In the center of the temple, there is a special place for washing the faithful. Entrances at 4 sides led to 4 schools or madhabs. All students met in the middle of the hall, a place for bathing. That is, it was a symbol of the unity of all schools. There were also other rooms in the mosque, for example, a medical center and utility bays.
جامع مدرسة السلطان حسن أنشئ في العصر المملوكي.
The construction of the Sultan Hassan Mosque began in 1356. It is one of the largest mosques in the Islamic world. The building is 150 meters long and 36 meters high. The height of the largest minaret is 68 meters. Stones which were used in the construction of the Giza pyramids were brought to its construction. To complete the temple, he made incredible efforts. But when the mosque was commissioned, he was treacherously killed in anticipation of the opening of the building. We are very grateful to the ancestors of the current Kazakhs for the magnificent architectural structures that they left us.
حوالي 898 متر تقريبا.
During the imprisonment of Sultan Hassan, his brother Salih ruled the country for 3 years. He also became a victim of hazing of emirs in 1354. When the Sultan Hassan received freedom and returned to the throne, he demoted the emirs who were elected under his father. Hassan formed a new military corps. Having strengthened his power, he began to build a mosque and a madrasa. Then it was the largest Muslim temple in the world. A lot of money was invested in it, and the people did not like it. Once during the construction work, one of the minarets fell down. Hundreds of people remained under the rubble. After this incident, Sultan Hassan was again sent to prison, where he died under mysterious circumstances. After the death of all children of Muhammad ibn Qalawun, his grandchildren ascend the throne. Muhammad ibn Qali ruled the country for about 2 years and Al-Ashra Shaban for almost 3 years. Then begins the era of great-grandchildren. The sons of Shaban Ali and Qadi will rule in turn. However, they were both influenced by the emirs. After the death of Qaja as-Salih, the Egyptian throne was captured by another dynasty. Thus, the reign of Bahri, which originated from Shajar al-Dur, was interrupted by ruler Barkok and his Borgian dynasty. Borgi in translation means fortress. That is, it is a tribe that lived in a fortress. Their ancestors were Circassians.
Олар 130 жылдай олар да сол басқарды. Бірақ
They ruled the country for approximately 130 years, but the Kipchaks continued to live in Egypt. Circassians ruled, but most of the army also consisted of Kipchaks.
Басқарушылар шеркес болғанмен, жарысынан көбісі әскердің қыпшақтар болды.
For almost a century, the descendants of Qalawun ruled Egypt. The country lived in peace and prosperity when Qalawun himself, his sons Khalil and Muhammad were in power. The sultans who came to power after them, due to their young age, were not self-sufficient. Experienced emirs, taking advantage of this situation, conducted their politics, but nevertheless, the emirs made a considerable contribution to the development of Egypt. There is also supporting documentary information found by the participants of the scientific expedition, Trails of Nomads. Watch the next episode to learn more.